The alarm bells rang through Nexus 7 space station like thunder in the darkness. Commander Vexistar rushed to the main control room, his forearms moving quickly as he checked the readings on the massive screen. What he saw made no sense at all. "Report," he ordered his crew, his voice tight with worry. "Sir, we have detected an object moving through the outer rim territories," said Lieutenant Kolvar, pointing at the screen with one of his clawed fingers. "It's moving at 0.97 light speed." Vextar stared at the numbers. Nothing could move that fast. Nothing in the known galaxy had engines powerful enough to push anything to nearly the speed of light. Even the Empire's fastest ships could only reach 0.3 light speed, and that was after years of the best engineering minds working together. "Check the sensors again," Vextar said. "This must be a mistake." The crew worked for several minutes, running every test they could think of. But the readings stayed the same. Something was out there moving impossibly fast through space. "Sir," called out Science Officer Dalmek from his station. "The object is slowing down." "Slowing down? How fast?" "It's dropping from 0.97 light speed to 0.5 light speed in just 3 minutes. That should be impossible. The Force needed to slow something down that quickly would tear apart any known material." Vextar felt his blood run cold. The Empire had ruled this part of the galaxy for over 2,000 years. They had the best technology, the strongest ships, and the most advanced weapons. Nothing should be able to surprise them like this. "Can we see what it is?" he asked. "No, sir. It's not showing up on visual scanners. We can only detect it because of the space around it bending and moving." "What do you mean?" Dalmek turned his screen toward the commander. "Whatever this thing is, it's so massive or moving so strangely that it's actually bending space-time around itself. We can see the effect, but not the cause." Meanwhile, millions of miles away in the darkness of space, Captain Kim Day sat in the control chair of his ship and rubbed his tired eyes. The past 3 months had been the longest of his life. The UES Wanderer had traveled farther from Earth than any human ship before it. "How are the engines holding up, Jin?" he asked his chief engineer. Li Jin looked up from his control panel and smiled. "The Alcubierre drive is working perfectly, Captain. We should be able to maintain this speed for another day before we need to stop and let the system cool down." Dr. Park Hana turned from her science station. "Captain, I'm reading some kind of space station ahead of us. It looks like it belongs to an alien species." Kim Day felt his heart beat faster. This was it. After months of traveling through empty space, they had finally found signs of intelligent life. But he also felt worried. The mission had not gone as planned. What they had discovered in the void between galaxies was far more dangerous than anyone on Earth could have imagined. "Are they trying to contact us?" he asked. "I don't think they can see us properly," Park Hana said. "Our stealth systems are still active. They might be able to detect some kind of disturbance, but they won't be able to see the ship itself." Back on Nexus 7, the alien crew was getting more worried by the minute. The mysterious object had slowed down even more, but now it was doing something that made even less sense. "Sir," said Lieutenant Kolvar, his voice shaking, "the object just disappeared." "What do you mean, disappeared?" "I mean, it's gone, sir. 1 second it was there, slowing down from incredible speed, and the next second there's nothing. No energy signature, no mass reading, nothing at all." Vexitar looked at the empty screen where moments before they had been tracking the impossible object. Could it have been destroyed? "No, sir. There was no explosion, no debris, no energy release. It just stopped existing as far as our sensors can tell." Science Officer Dalmek was studying his readings with all 4 of his eyes, focused on different screens. "Commander, I'm still detecting gravitational waves in the area where the object was. Whatever it was, it left ripples in spacetime that are slowly fading away. How is that possible?" "I don't know, sir. According to everything we know about physics, those kinds of gravitational waves should only be created by massive objects like black holes or neutron stars. But there's nothing there now." On the Wanderer, Kim Day made a difficult decision. They needed to contact Earth and report what they had found, but they also needed to be careful. The alien station they had detected was clearly advanced, and humanity was not ready for a war with an unknown species. "Jin, take us out of Alcubierre Drive," he ordered. "We need to drop back to normal space." "Are you sure, Captain? If those aliens have weapons, we'll be sitting ducks. We don't have a choice. We need to send a message to Earth, and we can't do that while we're in Alcubierre space." The ship slowed down from its impossible speed and entered normal spacetime. Immediately, their communication systems came online. Hana, start recording a message for Earth Command, Kimday said. Tell them we made contact with an alien species, but that's not the important news. Dr. Park Hana started recording. Earth Command, this is Dr. Park Hana aboard the UES Wanderer. We have discovered an alien space station in the Outer Rim territories. However, this is not our primary concern. We have encountered evidence of something far more dangerous in the void between galaxies. We are returning to Earth immediately with critical information that affects the survival of our entire galaxy. As soon as the message was sent, the Wanderer's engines came back online. The ship began to bend space around itself again, preparing to jump back into Alcubierre Drive. On Nexus 7, every alarm in the station suddenly went off at once. "Sir," shouted Kolvar. "The object is back. It just appeared out of nowhere. 3 million kilometers from our position. How fast is it moving now?" "0.8 light speed and accelerating. Sir, it's heading directly toward the inner systems." Vextar knew he had to make a decision quickly. This unknown object could be a weapon, a scout ship, or something else entirely. But one thing was clear. Whoever or whatever was controlling it had technology far beyond anything the Empire possessed. "Send an immediate message to the Imperial fleet," he ordered. "Tell them we have a Code 7 situation. Unknown object with impossible technology is heading toward the core worlds." As the message raced through space toward the Empire's main fleet, the UES Wanderer continued its journey toward Earth. Captain Kim Day and his crew had no idea that their return trip had just started what would become the most important first contact in galactic history. The Empire was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous visitors are the ones who come not to conquer but to warn. 3 days after the mysterious object vanished from their sensors, the Catherian Empire's homeworld was in chaos. Emperor Zaltek stood in his war room surrounded by his best generals and admirals. The massive holographic display showed their entire star system, with hundreds of ships positioned around every planet and moon. "Tell me again how this thing got past our defenses," the Emperor said, his voice cold with anger. Admiral Korthek, commander of the home fleet, looked uncomfortable. "Your Majesty, the object appeared inside our defensive perimeter without triggering a single alarm. It bypassed 47 defensive stations, 300 patrol ships, and our early warning grid. Our sensors didn't detect it until it was already here. And now, it's holding position near the 4th moon of Kithra Prime. It hasn't moved for 6 hours." Emperor Zalthek studied the display. A small red dot marked the location of the mysterious object. Around it, his ships formed a wide circle, afraid to get too close but ready to attack if necessary. On the UES Wanderer, Captain Kim Day was having his own problems. His ship sat motionless in space, surrounded by alien warships that looked like they could destroy a small planet. "How many ships are out there now?" he asked his first officer, Commander Cho Min. "I count at least 200, Captain. They keep bringing in more every hour." Kim Day looked tired. The weight of what they had discovered in deep space was crushing him. "We don't have time for this. Every minute we waste here is another minute closer to disaster." Dr. Song Yuri, the ship's xenobiologist, was studying the alien vessels through their sensors. "Captain, these ships are beautiful. The aliens who built them are clearly very advanced. Their technology is different from ours, but definitely sophisticated." "Different how?" asked Commander Cho Min. "They use plasma-based weapons and energy shields. Their ships are powered by what looks like controlled fusion reactions. Very clean, very efficient, but what? But they're still using normal physics. They haven't figured out how to bend space-time like we have." Captain Kim Day made a decision. "Open a communication channel. All frequencies." "Are you sure that's wise, Captain?" asked Cho Min. "They might see it as an act of aggression. We have to try. Hana, help me compose a message." Dr. Park Hana worked with the communication system for several minutes. "I'm broadcasting on every frequency I can think of. Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, basic chemical formulas. If they're intelligent, they should recognize that we're trying to communicate." On the Imperial flagship Dominator, Communications Officer Veltar suddenly sat up straight. "Admiral Korthek, we're receiving a transmission from the unknown object." "What kind of transmission?" "It's strange, sir. Mathematical formulas, basic physics, chemical equations. It's like they're trying to teach us their language." Admiral Korthek studied the data flowing across his screen. The patterns were clearly intelligent, but unlike anything in the Empire's databases. "Send it to the Science Division immediately. I want to know what they're trying to say." Back on the Wanderer, Kim Day was growing more frustrated by the minute.
Any response?
Nothing yet, Captain, said Park Hana. But I'm detecting increased communication traffic between their ships. I think they're trying to figure out our message. Captain, interrupted Dr. Song Yuri, I'm reading energy buildups on several of their ships. I think they might be preparing to fire. Kim Day felt his heart sink. This was exactly what they couldn't afford. Jin, are our shields ready? Engineer Lee Jin nodded from his station. Quantum shields are at full power, Captain. Their weapons shouldn't be able to hurt us, but if we use our shields, they'll know we have defensive technology. We don't have a choice. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Korthek was making his own difficult decision. The unknown object had been sitting in their space for hours, sending strange messages that no one could understand. The Emperor wanted answers, and he was running out of patience. All ships target the unknown vessel, he ordered. Prepare to fire warning shots. Sir, said his tactical officer, what if they see warning shots as an attack? Then we'll find out what their weapons can do. The first plasma bolts fired from 12 different ships, designed to pass close to the Wanderer without hitting it. The alien crews watched their sensors carefully, waiting to see how the mysterious vessel would respond. What they saw made no sense at all. The plasma bolts, each one carrying enough energy to vaporize a small asteroid, simply passed through the unknown ship as if it wasn't there. There was no explosion, no damage, no reaction at all. The bolts continued into empty space and faded away. What just happened? Asked Admiral Korthek. Sir, our weapons passed right through the target. It's like it's not really there. But we can see it on sensors. Yes, sir. We can detect its mass, its gravitational field, even its heat signature. But our weapons can't touch it. On the Wanderer, alarms were ringing throughout the ship. They're shooting at us, shouted Commander Cho Min. Calm down, said Kim Day. Jin, report. The quantum shields are working perfectly, Captain. Their plasma weapons are passing through our shifted space-time field without any effect. We're completely safe. Dr. Park Hana looked up from her communication station with excitement. Captain, I'm getting a response. They're trying to communicate. The alien message was simple but clear. Mathematical formulas that asked basic questions about the Wanderer's intentions. Were they peaceful? Were they explorers? Were they weapons? Send back our response, Kim Day ordered. Tell them we come in peace, but we have urgent information about a threat to their galaxy. The message exchange continued for several hours. Slowly, painfully, the two species began to understand each other. The aliens called themselves the Catherian Empire. They had ruled this part of the galaxy for thousands of years. They were suspicious of the human ship because its technology was so far beyond anything they had ever seen. The humans tried to explain that they were from a species called humanity, from a planet called Earth. They had traveled here from the void between galaxies, and they carried terrible news. Emperor Zalthek himself came aboard the flagship to oversee the communication process. What are they trying to tell us? He asked his science advisors. Your Majesty, their message is disturbing. They claim to have discovered some kind of threat in the space between galaxies. They say this threat is heading toward our galaxy and will arrive in less than 6 months. What kind of threat? They call them devourers. According to their data, these are ancient machines that consume entire galaxies, leaving nothing behind but empty space. Emperor Zalthek studied the translated messages. How do we know they're telling the truth? This could be an invasion fleet trying to soften us up with fear. That's possible, Your Majesty. But there's something else. They're asking for permission to return to their home world to warn their own people. If this was an invasion, why would they leave? On the Wanderer, Captain Kim Day was reaching the end of his patience. How long does it take to say we believe you in their language? They're scared, Captain, said Dr. Song Yuri. Think about it from their perspective. A ship with impossible technology appears in their space, tells them their galaxy is about to be destroyed, and asks them to trust completely unknown aliens. But every hour we spend here is an hour less to prepare for what's coming. Commander Cho Min looked up from his tactical station. Captain, more ships are arriving. I count over 500 now, and they're bringing bigger weapons. Kim Day made his decision. Send them one final message. Tell them we're leaving now to warn our own people, but we'll be back. Tell them to prepare their defenses and gather their allies. Tell them that in 6 months they'll wish they had listened to us. Are you sure, Captain? We've done what we can here. Now we have to get home and prepare Earth's defenses. The UES Wanderer began to glow with strange energy as its Alcubierre drive powered up. The alien ships around it detected massive space-time distortions, unlike anything they had ever measured. "It's happening again," reported the sensors operator on the flagship. "Space around the object is bending." Emperor Zalthek watched as the mysterious human ship simply vanished from existence, leaving only fading gravitational waves to mark where it had been. "Your Majesty," said Admiral Korthek quietly, "what if they were telling the truth?" 2 weeks had passed since the human ship vanished from Catherian space. Emperor Zalthek couldn't sleep. Every night he stared at the reports from his science teams, trying to understand what they had encountered. "Your Majesty," said his chief scientist, Dr. Melandra, as she entered his private chambers, "we've completed our analysis of the gravitational disturbances left by the alien vessel. And the technology they used is theoretically impossible according to our understanding of physics. They somehow created a bubble of curved spacetime around their ship, allowing them to move faster than light without actually moving at all." Emperor Zalthek rubbed his tired eyes. "Explain that in simple terms. Imagine space is like a piece of fabric. Instead of moving across the fabric, they compressed the fabric in front of them and expanded it behind them. They rode the wave of compressed space. And this is supposed to be impossible. According to our physics, yes, the energy required would be greater than the output of our entire star, but somehow they made it work. Meanwhile, in deep space, the UES Wanderer was racing back toward Earth at impossible speed. Captain Kim Day stood in the observation deck, watching the stars blur past as space itself carried them home. Dr. Park Hana joined him at the window. "Captain, I've been thinking about our encounter with the Empire. What about it? They seemed genuinely surprised by our technology. If they've been the dominant species in this galaxy for thousands of years, how is it that our technology is so much more advanced?" Kim Day sighed. "Because we had to be. Hana, you know Earth's history. We've faced extinction so many times that we had to innovate or die. Wars, plagues, asteroid impacts, climate disasters. Every crisis forced us to become smarter, faster, more desperate. You think they've never faced a real threat? I think they've been too successful. When you're the strongest species in the galaxy for thousands of years, you don't push the boundaries of what's possible. You don't have to." Engineer Li Jin approached them from the engine room. "Captain, we'll reach Earth in 18 hours. But I'm worried about something." "What?" "The Empire. What if they don't believe us? What if they think we're lying about the Devourers?" Before Kim Day could answer, alarms began ringing throughout the ship. "Captain, to the bridge," called Commander Cho Min over the communication system. They rushed to the bridge, where Cho Min was studying his sensors with a worried expression. "What is it?" asked Kim Day. "We're being followed. A single ship, maintaining our exact speed and distance." Dr. Park Hana checked her own instruments. "That's impossible. No known technology can keep up with us in Alcubierre Drive." "Well, someone's doing it." Kim Day studied the readings. The pursuing ship was small, much smaller than the Imperial vessels they had encountered before. But it was definitely there, riding in their wake somehow. "Can we communicate with them?" Dr. Park Hana worked at her station for several minutes. "I'm establishing a quantum entanglement link. This is experimental technology, but it should work." The communication that came through was clearer than anything they had achieved before, a voice speaking in broken but understandable English. "Human ship, this is. My name is difficult in your language. I am Dr. Quantek of the Catherian Science Division. Please do not be afraid. I come alone." Kim Day looked at his crew with surprise. "How did you learn our language so quickly?" "We have been studying your transmissions for 2 weeks. Your language is logical, not difficult for our computers to understand. Please, I must speak with you about the threat you described. How are you keeping up with our ship? We have borrowed some of your technology. When your ship left our space, it left behind quantum particles. We studied them and built a small device that can follow your trail." Engineer Li Jin looked impressed despite himself. "Captain, that's actually pretty clever. They reverse engineered our wake signature." Kim Day made a decision. "Dr. Quantek, we'll drop out of Alcubierre Drive so we can talk properly, but any aggressive action and we'll leave immediately." "Understood. I am alone and unarmed." Both ships slowed to normal space. Through the view screen they could see the alien vessel. It was indeed small, barely larger than a fighter craft with elegant curves that spoke of advanced engineering. Dr. Quantek's image appeared on their main screen. He looked like the other Cytherians they had seen, but smaller and clearly very intelligent. "Thank you for stopping," he said. "I had to speak with you because what you told us, it matches things we have found in our ancient records." Dr. Song Yuri leaned forward with interest. "What kind of records?" "Old stories, legends that most of our people think are just myths. Tales of a great darkness that comes from the void between galaxies, consuming everything in its path." "You mean your people have encountered the Devourers before?" "Not my people, but perhaps the species that lived in this galaxy before us. The records are very old, very fragmented, but they speak of machines that eat entire star systems, leaving only empty space behind." Captain Kim Dae felt a chill run down his spine. "How old are these records?" "At least 100,000 years. Maybe more." The humans exchanged worried glances. If the Devourers had attacked this galaxy before, it meant they followed a pattern. They consumed everything they could find, then moved on to the next galaxy, waiting for it to rebuild before returning. "Dr. Quantek," said Dr. Park Hana, "we need to show you something, the data we collected in the void between galaxies." For the next several hours, the human scientists shared their findings with the Cytherian researcher. What they had discovered in deep space was worse than anyone had imagined. The Devourers weren't just machines. They were an entire civilization of machines, built by a species so ancient that no trace of their creators remained. These machines had been consuming galaxies for millions of years, growing stronger and smarter with each one they devoured. "This is why your technology is so advanced," Dr. Quantek said slowly. "Your species has been preparing for this threat without even knowing it." "What do you mean?" "Humanity has faced extinction many times, correct? Each time you develop new technology to survive. But the challenges you faced, they're similar to the challenges posed by the Devourers." Engineer Li Jin understood first. "The Alcubierre drive. We developed it to escape threats quickly. The quantum shields. We needed them to protect against impossible weapons. The stealth technology. We had to hide from enemies we couldn't fight." "Exactly. Your species has been unconsciously preparing for this war your entire history." Dr. Song Yuri was studying the ancient Cytherian records on her screen. "Dr. Quantek, according to this data, the last time the Devourers came to this galaxy, they were defeated." How the alien scientist looked sad. "The records are unclear, but it appears that multiple species worked together, combining their technologies and making terrible sacrifices. Entire star systems were destroyed in the fighting. But they won. They survived. The Devourers were driven back to the void between galaxies, but the cost was so high that galactic civilization collapsed. It took hundreds of thousands of years for new species like mine to evolve and rebuild." Captain Kim Dae felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. "Dr. Quantek, we need your Empire's help. Humanity alone can't stop the Devourers. We need every species in the galaxy working together." "I understand. But my people, they are proud. They have been the dominant species for so long. They may not accept that they need help from a younger, smaller civilization. Then we'll have to convince them. We're going to Earth first to warn our people and gather our fleet. Then we're coming back to your space. I will return ahead of you and speak to the Emperor. I will show him the ancient records and try to make him understand." Dr. Park Hana suddenly looked up from her communication station. "Captain, I'm detecting something strange." "What?" "Long-range sensors are picking up gravitational disturbances near the edge of our galaxy. The same type of signature we detected from the Devourer advance scouts." The bridge fell silent as everyone realized what this meant. "How long do we have?" asked Kim Dae. Dr. Park Hana worked frantically at her controls. "If those are advance scouts and they're moving at the speeds we recorded, the main force will arrive in 4 months, not 6. Dr. Quantek's face went pale. "We have even less time than we thought." Captain Kim Dae looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there in the darkness, an ancient enemy was approaching. An enemy that had consumed thousands of galaxies and would not stop until this one was devoured as well. "Then we better move fast," he said. "Dr. Quantek, go back to your Emperor. Tell him that whether he likes it or not, humanity is coming back. And when we do, we're going to save this galaxy even if we have to do it the hard way." Emperor Zalthek stood in his throne room, facing the most difficult decision of his long reign. Before him, Dr. Quantek knelt with ancient data crystals containing records that proved the humans had been telling the truth. "Rise, Dr. Quantek," the Emperor said. "Show me these records again." The throne room's holographic display came alive with images from 100,000 years ago. Dying star systems, entire planets stripped bare, and space filled with massive mechanical constructs that defied description. "The translation is clear, Your Majesty," Dr. Quantek said. "The ancient species called them Star Eaters or the Endless Hunger. They match perfectly with what the humans called Devourers." Admiral Korthek stepped forward. "Your Majesty, even if this threat is real, why should we trust these humans? They have technology far beyond ours. What if this is an elaborate plan to weaken our defenses?" "Because, Admiral," said Dr. Quantek, "I have seen their data. The humans discovered evidence of 17 different galaxies that have been completely consumed. 17 entire galaxies reduced to empty space. If they wanted to conquer us, they wouldn't need such an elaborate lie." The Emperor studied the ancient records. Images of species working together, sharing technology, building massive weapons that could destroy entire star systems. How many species fought together against this threat? At least 47 different civilizations, Your Majesty. They called it the Grand Alliance, and according to these records, they barely won. Meanwhile, in Earth's solar system, Captain Kim Day was having his own difficult conversation. The UES Wanderer hung in space above Earth, surrounded by every ship humanity could gather. But compared to what was coming, their fleet looked pitifully small. "Tell me again how many ships the Empire has," said Admiral Han Sol, commander of Earth's defense forces. "Over 10,000 capital ships, sir," Kim Day replied, "each one roughly equivalent to our heavy cruisers. They also have orbital defense platforms around every inhabited world and mining operations throughout their territory." "And how many ships do we have?" Captain Bei Su, who had arrived with the refugee fleet from humanity's outer colonies, answered grimly. 312 ships total, sir. Most of them converted civilian vessels. Dr. Ko Rin, Earth's leading expert on experimental technology, was studying the data from the Devourer encounter. "Admiral, our ships may be fewer in number, but our technology gives us significant advantages." "Explain." "The Alcubierre drive allows us to move much faster than any Imperial ship. Our quantum shields can deflect their weapons completely, and our stealth technology makes us nearly invisible to their sensors." Admiral Han Sol looked out at Earth through the observation window, blue and green and beautiful, but so fragile compared to what was coming. "Dr. Korin, show me our most classified technology. Everything we've been developing in secret." The scientist hesitated. "Sir, some of these projects are dangerous. We've been experimenting with time manipulation, reality displacement, and weapons that could destroy entire star systems." "Show me anyway." For the next hour, Dr. Ko Rin revealed technologies that seemed more like magic than science. Weapons that could make enemy ships exist in accelerated time, causing them to age millions of years in seconds. Shields that displaced attacks into parallel dimensions. Engines that could temporarily phase ships out of normal space-time entirely. "Why haven't we used these technologies before?" asked Captain Bei Su. "Because they're incredibly dangerous," Dr. Ko Rin replied. "The time acceleration weapon, for example, could accidentally age our own planet if used incorrectly. The dimensional displacement could tear holes in reality itself." Admiral Han Sol understood. "We've been developing weapons of last resort." "Exactly, sir. Technology so dangerous that we only use it when facing extinction." Captain Kim Day looked at the specifications for humanity's secret weapons. "How long would it take to install these systems on our ships?" 3 weeks for the basic systems. "But sir, using this technology will reveal to any survivors that humanity has capabilities far beyond what anyone imagined. There won't be any survivors if we lose." Back in Catherian space, Emperor Zalthek had made his decision. He stood before the Imperial Council, the governing body of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. "Council members," he began, "I am requesting authorization to form an alliance with the human species." The council chamber erupted in shocked voices. Councillor Velthara stood up in protest. "Your Majesty, these humans have technology that could threaten our entire civilization. Allying with them could be suicide." "And not allying with them definitely will be suicide," the Emperor replied. "I have reviewed the ancient records. The threat these humans warn us about is real, and it has attacked our galaxy before." He activated the holographic display, showing the council the same images Dr. Quantek had shown him. Destroyed worlds, consumed star systems, and mechanical horrors that had ended entire civilizations. This enemy will arrive in less than 4 months, the Emperor continued. Our choice is simple. Work with the humans and possibly survive, or face this threat alone and certainly die. Counselor Mordek, an elderly member who rarely spoke, stood slowly. Your Majesty, what do the humans want in return for their help? Nothing. They want only to stop this threat before it consumes our galaxy, and then moves on to theirs. The Council voted. It was close, but the alliance was approved. 3 days later, the largest human fleet in history arrived in Catherian space. But this time they weren't alone. Ships from 12 other species had joined them. Smaller civilizations that humanity had contacted during their journey back from Earth. Captain Kim Day stood on the bridge of the UES Wanderer as they approached the Imperial homeworld. Hana, open a channel to the Imperial flagship. The image of Emperor Zalthek appeared on their screen, along with Admiral Korthek and Dr. Quantek. Captain Kim Day, the Emperor said formally, on behalf of the Catherian Empire, I welcome you and your allies. Your Majesty, we don't have much time. Our long-range sensors show the Devourer advance force has entered the galaxy. The mood on the Imperial bridge became grim. How long do we have? Dr. Ko Rin appeared beside Kim Day. 3 months until the main force arrives, but the advanced scouts are already attacking Outer Rim colonies. What do you need from us? Asked the Emperor. Everything. We need your shipyards to build our technology into your ships. We need your raw materials to construct weapons that can actually hurt the Devourers. And we need your people to work alongside ours. Admiral Korthek looked skeptical. You want us to give you access to our most sensitive military facilities? Captain Bei-Su stepped forward. Admiral, let me be clear about something. The Devourers have consumed over 1,000 galaxies. They have technology that makes both our civilizations look primitive. If we don't work together, if we don't share everything we have, we're all going to die. Engineer Li Jin was studying the Imperial ship designs on his screen. Your Majesty, your ships are actually very well designed. With our technology integrated into your hulls, we could create vessels more powerful than anything either of us could build alone. What kind of integration? Asked Dr. Quantek. Alcubierre drives for speed, quantum shields for defense, and our experimental weapons for offense. But we'll also need your plasma technology and energy systems. Dr. Ko Rin activated a holographic display showing their most secret project. This is what we've been working on in absolute secrecy. We call it the reality fracture weapon. The image showed a device that looked like it was built from crystallized spacetime itself. What does it do? Asked the Emperor. It creates a temporary tear in reality itself. Anything caught in the fracture zone is removed from existence. Not destroyed, removed. It simply stops being. Admiral Korthek stared at the weapon design.
How large an area can it affect?
In our tests, we've opened fractures up to 1 light hour in diameter. The throne room fell silent as everyone realized what this meant. A weapon that could erase Devourer fleets from existence itself. There's a catch, isn't there? Asked Emperor Zalthek. Several catches, Dr. Ko Rin admitted. First, it takes the combined power output of 3 star systems to fire once. Second, we can only build 1, maybe 2 of these weapons with our current resources. And third, what? Using it will probably tear a permanent hole in spacetime. We don't know what will come through that hole, but it won't be good. Captain Kim Day looked at the assembled leaders of 2 civilizations. Your Majesty, we're asking you to bet everything on a plan that might destroy reality itself. But if we don't try, the Devourers will definitely destroy everything anyway. Emperor Zalthek looked at his advisors, then back at the humans. Captain Kim Day, you have our full cooperation. Every shipyard, every resource, every scientist we have is at your disposal. And if we're wrong about this weapon, then at least we'll die fighting instead of being consumed. As the 2 fleets began working together, combining technologies that had never been meant to work together, long-range sensors detected the first Devourer ships entering the galaxy's outer rim. The countdown to the greatest battle in galactic history had begun. The edge of the galaxy had become a graveyard. For 2 months, the combined human Catherian fleet had fought a desperate holding action against the Devourer advance force. They had won some battles and lost others, but each victory came at a terrible cost. Captain Kim Day stood on the bridge of the UES Wanderer, now the flagship of the largest military alliance in galactic history. Around him, tactical displays showed the positions of over 15,000 ships from 43 different species. It was an impressive sight, but he knew it wouldn't be enough. "Report," he said to his tactical officer, Commander Cho Min. "The main Devourer fleet has entered our galaxy, Captain. Our long-range sensors count at least 1 million ships, and they're all larger than anything we've seen before." Dr. Park Hana looked up from her science station with grim news. "Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures that match the records from the 17 dead galaxies. The Devourers have brought their planet killers, massive ships designed to strip entire worlds of their matter and energy, converting everything into more Devourer machines. Each one was the size of a moon, and protected by shields that could deflect the combined firepower of an entire fleet." "How long until they reach the core worlds?" asked Kim Dae. "At their current speed, 36 hours, replied Cho Min. On the Imperial flagship Eternal Glory, Emperor Zalthek was making final preparations. The combined fleet had fallen back to the Nexus system, a strategically important location that controlled access to the galaxy's most populated regions. "Your Majesty," said Admiral Korthek, "the reality fracture weapon is ready. Dr. Ko Rin says it will take 12 hours to charge fully." "And the evacuation of the core worlds?" "Proceeding as planned, Your Majesty. We've moved 3 billion civilians to the emergency shelters, but there are still 12 billion who couldn't be evacuated in time." Emperor Zalthek felt the weight of every life under his protection. "Admiral, if this plan fails, what are our chances of stopping the Devourers with conventional weapons?" Admiral Korthek was quiet for a long moment. "Zero, Your Majesty." Meanwhile, deep in the construction yards of Kithra Prime, engineer Li Jin was putting the finishing touches on humanity's most dangerous creation. The reality fracture weapon sat in a massive chamber, surrounded by power cables that drew energy from 3 different star systems. "How does it look, Jin?" asked General Wan Te, commander of humanity's Experimental Weapons Division. "Terrifying, sir. We're essentially building a controlled black hole that we're going to tear open manually. Every physics law says this should be impossible. But it will work? It will work. The question is whether we'll survive using it." Dr. Ko Rin joined them in the chamber, carrying the final component, a crystal matrix that would focus the weapon's energy into a precise, dimensional tear. This crystal was grown in zero gravity using atoms arranged by quantum manipulation, she explained as she installed it. "It's the most perfect geometric structure ever created by any species. And if it breaks during firing, then the weapon will tear a hole in reality that we can't control. Instead of removing the Devourers, it might remove everything within 100 light years." General Wan Te looked at the weapon that could save or damn them all. "Dr. Ko Rin, in your professional opinion, what are the odds this weapon will work as intended?" 60%, sir. "And the odds it will kill us all?" 30%. "What about the remaining 10%? Dr. Ko Rin smiled grimly. "The remaining 10% covers possibilities so strange that we don't have words for them yet." On the UES Wanderer, Captain Kim Dae was coordinating the final battle plan with commanders from dozens of different species. The holographic display showed the Nexus system, with the combined fleet arranged in a complex defensive formation. "The plan is simple," he told the assembled commanders. "We hold them here for exactly 12 hours while the reality fracture weapon charges. Then we use it to remove their main fleet from existence." Captain Bei Su raised her hand. "Captain, our intelligence suggests the Devourers know about the weapon. They've been accelerating their approach. How much time do we actually have?" 10 hours, maybe 11 if we're lucky." The alien commanders looked worried. They had seen what the Devourer advance force could do, and that was less than 1% of the enemy's total strength. "There's something else," said Captain Shin-A, pilot of humanity's most experimental ship. "We've detected command signals from the main Devourer fleet. They're not just machines following programming. There's intelligence behind them making tactical decisions." This was the news everyone had feared. If the Devourers were truly intelligent, they could adapt to human tactics much faster than expected. "Then we'll have to be smarter," Kim Dae said. "Dr. Park Hana, activate the quantum communication network. I want real-time coordination between every ship in the fleet." The battle began 6 hours before the weapon would be ready. The Devourer fleet emerged from Alcubierre Drive at the edge of the Nexus system, like a swarm of mechanical death. Each ship was a perfect fusion of technology and hunger, designed for the single purpose of consuming everything in its path. "All ships, engage," ordered Kim Dae. The space around Nexus became a storm of energy beams. plasma bolts, and exotic weapons that bent the laws of physics. Human ships phased in and out of normal space-time, striking at devourer vessels before vanishing again. Cytherian ships formed massive battle lines, their combined firepower capable of vaporizing small moons. But for every devourer ship they destroyed, 10 more took its place. Captain called out Commander Cho Min. We're losing ships faster than we can replace them. The devourers are adapting to our tactics. Kim Dae watched as another Alliance cruiser was consumed by a devourer harvester ship. Its matter converted into enemy reinforcements in real time. Time to try something new. Jin, activate the temporal displacement field around the Wanderer. Sir, the technology is still experimental. Do it anyway. The UES Wanderer began to glow with strange energy as it shifted into accelerated time. From the ship's perspective, everything else in the battle slowed to a crawl. Enemy projectiles hung motionless in space as the Wanderer moved between them, striking at devourer weak points with precision impossible at normal time rates. But the temporal field consumed enormous amounts of energy, and it could only be maintained for short periods. On Kythera Prime, the reality fracture weapon was nearing full charge. Dr. Ko Rin monitored. Its status as technicians from a dozen species worked to keep the massive device stable. 90% charge, she announced over the communication network. 2 more hours. Dr. Ko Rin, came General Wante's voice. We may not have 2 hours. The fleet is taking heavy casualties. I can try to speed up the charging process, but it will increase the risk of catastrophic failure. How much risk? Instead of 30% chance of uncontrolled disaster, it becomes 50%. In the battle, Emperor Zalthek made a decision that would define his legacy. All Imperial ships form up on my position. We're going to buy the humans the time they need. Your Majesty, that's suicide, protested Admiral Korthek. No, Admiral, that's leadership. The Imperial fleet charged directly into the heart of the Devourer formation, their ships glowing with overloaded weapons and failing shields. They knew they wouldn't survive, but every minute they bought was another minute for the superweapon to charge. Captain Kim Dae watched the Imperial sacrifice with admiration and grief. All human ships cover the Imperial retreat. No one gets left behind, but there would be no retreat. The Imperial ships fought until their hulls cracked and their engines failed, taking hundreds of Devourer vessels with them. Emperor Zalthek's final transmission was broadcast across the entire fleet. For every species that has fallen to these machines, for every world they have consumed, for every child who will never see the stars, we make our stand here. Victory or death! The Imperial flagship Eternal Glory exploded in a burst of fusion fire that temporarily blinded every sensor in the system. Weapon status, Kim Dae demanded, his voice tight with emotion. 95% charged, replied Dr. Ko Rin. 30 more minutes. But the Devourers had broken through the defensive lines. Their planet-killer ships were advancing on Kythera Prime itself, and nothing the Alliance had left could stop them. Jin, Kim Dae ordered, transfer all power from our engines to weapons. We're not running away. Sir, that will leave us defenseless. No, it will make us more dangerous. The UES Wanderer, now carrying the combined firepower of 3 capital ships, began its final attack run. Around it, the surviving ships of the Alliance followed, knowing they were about to witness the end of everything. Weapon charge to 100%, announced Dr. Ko Rin, targeting the center of the Devourer fleet. Firing in 10 seconds. The galaxy held its breath. 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1, firing. Reality tore open. The space where the Devourer main fleet had been simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not scattered, gone as if it had never been there at all. The tear in space-time spread outward, consuming enemy ships by the thousands. But something else came through the hole they had torn in reality. Something that had been waiting in the darkness between dimensions. Something that made the Devourers look like children playing with toys. What have we done? Whispered Dr. Ko Rin. Captain Kim Dae looked at